On a beautiful early spring morning, I was sitting at my dining room table in my big house, ostensibly taking part in a writing course. It was time for a writing segment, but I was looking around the room at all the things I needed to get rid of. How was I going to do this? Emotionally, how was I going to get rid of 90% of what was in that room that I had collected over many, many years? There were so many books and treasured memorabilia in the bookcases. There was the clock that the love of my life had made for me years ago before he died. There was my piano, my banana chair from when I lived in the UK, the beautiful red patterned oriental rug that I have always loved. Not being able to stand that any longer, I looked outside. There I saw my beautiful white Buddha statue, all the pots and planters, the stylized bicycle planter that I had so agonized over because of the inflated price. And this was only out the dining room window. I had a huge yard with a raised bed garden and a greenhouse where I could start the seeds in the late winter. There was my hot tub and the orange, apple, lemon, and lime trees, the blueberry bushes and the raspberry plant. On the patio were the fountain and the beautiful redwood table and chairs that in the summer held my very favorite bright red umbrella. And on and on. And in that moment, I understood a little better why I was having such difficulty figuring out what to do physically with all the stuff. I simply couldn't focus. It hurt too much. Like many of us, I'd spent years trying to understand how I was feeling at any given moment. And now all I wanted was to not feel, so I could get on with the sorting process. If this sounds at all familiar, welcome to the upside of downsizing, getting to enough. This is not a how-to book. There are plenty of people you can hire who will be more than happy to tell you how to go about downsizing. They'll even do a lot of it for you for a fee. What this book will do for you is make the whole process easier, not physically, but emotionally. Not too long ago, I heard a friend describe her image while she was downsizing as taking it to the curb. For me, the feeling was more like kicking it to the curb. And that helped me crystallize why what I was feeling was so painful. It oftentimes felt violent, ripping me from things I loved. And in a strange way, when I could understand the process I was going through in that way, it actually became less painful. And when I was able to make the process less painful, I was able to make it more expeditious. I was able to get to enough, which made the whole ordeal go much more smoothly. So let's get started. What does it mean to downsize to enough? Hi, I'm Sarah Hart, and my book is called The Upside of Downsizing, Getting to Enough. Last year, I went through a major downsizing. I went from a very large home with 4 bedrooms, a big garage, a huge yard, to a 1-bedroom apartment with a 46-inch by 46-inch cage in the basement for storage, a small clothes closet, and a small coat closet, and that's it. It was hard. It was really hard. But what was hardest about it were the emotions involved. And so I wrote the book to try to help people understand the emotional side of what they may be going through during a downsizing and to make it a bit easier. And to do that, I offer you the HEART process for downsizing. H-A-R-T. H, happy with a simpler life. Do you actually have more space than you need? Do you need that space for your stuff? Do you have stuff poking out of everywhere? For a while, I had to hold things down in a drawer to close the drawer. That's not good. How would it feel to get rid of bunches of stuff and have open spaces? H. A, ask for help. If you're facing a downsizing, you cannot do this by yourself. You can't do it by yourself. So enlist family, friends. If you need to hire somebody, hire somebody. And be ready with specific things that your family and friends can help you with. When they say, hey, let me know what I can do to help, don't let them then walk away. Say, well, as a matter of fact, if you could take this bag of stuff to Goodwill, that would really help me. Actually, what I need are some more boxes. Whatever the specific is, make it specific. They want to help, but they won't know what you need. A. R. Be realistic about where you are. Are there major things that need to be done in your house, or your apartment, or your condo? Is it going to cost to do those things? Are there things going on in your neighborhood that aren't terrific? Are your expenses getting more and more every year? Be realistic about where you are. And finally, T, take time for self-care. During this process, you really need to take care of yourself. So be sure that you get as much sleep as possible, eat well, cut way down on your alcohol intake if you drink, and exercise. Even 10 minutes a day walk. But most importantly, start or continue a meditation or prayer practice, because you're going to need to come back to yourself and relax. So, before we leave today, I would like you to quickly turn to your neighbor and say one thing you could do when you get home to start simplifying. One thing. Just turn to somebody and tell them that. Thank you. The upside of downsizing, getting to enough. Thank you.